We often think of vitamins as purely beneficial, like health insurance in a bottle. But what if I told you that certain healthy vitamins, when taken the wrong way, could actually be sabotaging your legs, weakening your muscles, impairing your joints, even increasing your risk of injury and chronic pain? It sounds counterintuitive. After all, we're told that more vitamins mean more vitality, but the truth is more nuanced and more powerful than that. Here's the science. Several peer-reviewed studies now show that improper use of common supplements like vitamin D, calcium, and even certain B vitamins can trigger imbalances in neuromuscular signaling, cause calcium buildup in soft tissue, and blunt the body's natural repair mechanisms. What's happening in your body isn't just about nutrients in, nutrients out. It's about how these compounds interact with your nervous system, your muscle fibers, and your mitochondrial energy cycles. This matters deeply because your legs are not just a mobility system. They are a gateway to cognitive function, longevity, and emotional resilience. Research from the University of Edinburgh and the NIH confirms that leg strength correlates directly with brain volume, balance, and even psychological stability later in life. Lose leg strength, and you don't just lose movement, you lose mental performance. So in today's episode, we're going to expose 3 popular vitamins that many people take with good intentions, but in the wrong way, and how that misuse can slowly degrade leg health, increase fall risk, and silently erode the foundation of your physical independence. More importantly, I'll show you exactly how to use these vitamins correctly based on real clinical research so they actually enhance neuromuscular performance, preserve joint function, and support long-term vitality. Here's what we'll cover. The surprising truth about calcium and leg cramps. How vitamin D can weaken your legs if your magnesium is low. Why B6 and B12 might impair nerves when overdosed. Protocols to safely balance these vitamins for strength and recovery. What your brain has to do with leg muscle power. And simple research-based tools you can apply starting today. Let's explore how science can protect and rebuild the most important muscles in your body. Let's start with a vitamin most people associate with strong bones and better immunity, vitamin D. But here's the deeper story that often gets overlooked, especially when it comes to your legs. Vitamin D isn't active on its own. Your body must convert it into its usable form, calcitriol, through a process that depends heavily on one mineral, magnesium. Without magnesium, this conversion stalls. You could be taking 2,000 IU or even 5,000 IU of vitamin D daily and still be functionally deficient at the cellular level. What's happening in your body when this occurs? Here's what the research shows. Magnesium is a cofactor in the enzymes that convert vitamin D from its storage form to its active form. A 2018 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that people with higher magnesium intake had better bioavailability of vitamin D, even at lower supplement doses. Why does this matter for your legs? Because active vitamin D plays a central role in muscle contraction, calcium transport, and mitochondrial function, all of which are essential for lower body strength. Without it, your motor neurons fire less efficiently, your muscles generate less force, and fatigue sets in faster. Have you ever stood up from a chair and felt unsteady for a moment, even if you're otherwise healthy? That micro instability may be related to poor neuromuscular coordination, a system that depends in part on the vitamin D magnesium axis. And it doesn't stop at fatigue. Low vitamin D has been linked in multiple studies, including one from the Journal of Gerontology, to increase fall risk and slower walking speed in older adults. But what's often missing from these conversations is that magnesium deficiency may be the real bottleneck. A simple tool to apply is this. Never take vitamin D in isolation. Instead, pair it with 250 to 400 ml magnesium magnesiate or citrate, ideally taken with your largest meal. This not only improves absorption, but supports the enzymatic processes necessary for activating vitamin D. And there's a behavioral side to this too. Movement, especially walking, squatting, and resistance training, actually upregulates vitamin D receptor expression in muscle tissue. which means taking the right nutrients is important, but how you move and how consistently determines how well those nutrients are used. So if you're supplementing with vitamin D and still feeling muscle cramps, leg fatigue, or poor recovery after workouts, magnesium might be the missing piece of the puzzle. Now we'll look at calcium, the classic bone-building nutrient, and how taking it the wrong way can ironically increase the risk of muscle cramps and leg stiffness. But first, a quick note. If this insight is helping you rethink how vitamins impact your body, especially your legs, consider subscribing. We go deep into the science so you can master your biology and protect your long-term performance. Calcium has long been promoted as the cornerstone of strong bones. And while that's partially true, the full story is far more complex, especially when it comes to muscle health, particularly in the legs. Many people take calcium supplements with good intentions to prevent osteoporosis, reduce fracture risk, or support their bone. But here's what the research reveals. When calcium is taken in isolation or in excessive amounts, it can accumulate in soft tissues like blood vessels, tendons, and even muscles. This creates stiffness, disrupts nerve signaling, and increases the risk of painful leg cramps and muscle dysfunction. Let's unpack what's going on beneath the surface. Muscle contraction and relaxation are tightly regulated processes that rely on calcium entering and exiting cells at precise times when calcium levels in the bloodstream are too high. Especially without the balancing influence of vitamin K2 and magnesium, the body can start depositing it where it doesn't belong. This can include arterial walls, joints, and muscle sheaths. A study published in BMJ, British Medical Journal, found that people who took calcium supplements without cofactors had a 30% increased risk of cardiovascular events. Why? Because freeloaded calcium isn't being directed to the bones, it's being misrouted into tissues where it hardens and causes dysfunction. In the legs, this often shows up as sudden cramps during sleep, aching or heaviness during walking or standing, decreased flexibility in calves and hamstrings, a strange tight or band-like sensation in the lower leg. Have you ever stretched your leg only to feel it spasm instead of relax? That's often a sign of calcium imbalance, not deficiency. Here's what the research recommends. Always take calcium with vitamin K2, specifically MK7, which activates proteins that shuttle calcium into bones and teeth and keep it out of arteries and muscle. Limit total calcium intake to 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams daily, including dietary sources. Going above that threshold, especially with supplements, increases the risk of calcification. Use movement as a regulatory signal. Weight-bearing exercises like lunges, stair climbing, or brisk walking help drive calcium into skeletal tissue where it belongs. A simple protocol. If you're supplementing with calcium, take it with food in divided doses and always pair it with 100 to 200 mg of vitamin K2 and magnesium. This trio forms a safety net that keeps calcium where it's beneficial and out of your muscles. It's also worth noting that leg cramps are often mistaken for dehydration or potassium loss, but in many cases, they're actually a biochemical signal of calcium mismanagement. And that's a critical insight, because the very thing you may be taking to protect your bones could, if used incorrectly, be compromising the health and performance of the muscles and joints around them. Before we move on to B vitamins, which can silently damage leg nerves when overdosed, here's a quick reminder. If you're finding this information valuable, hit the like button or share it with someone who's also focused on their long-term health. Small shifts in how we take supplements can create massive improvements in how we move, feel, and function. We're often told that water-soluble vitamins, like the B complex, are safe at any dose because the body simply flushes out the excess. But this is a dangerous oversimplification, especially when it comes to vitamin B6 and B12. Yes, both are essential. They support nerve repair, energy metabolism, red blood cell formation, and neurotransmitter synthesis. But here's the problem. Taking too much, especially of B6, can actually damage your nerves, leading to numbness, tingling, burning, and muscle weakness in the legs. Let's start with the science. A study published in Neurology, 2003, identified that doses of vitamin B6 above 100 milligrams per day, especially sustained over several weeks or months, can cause sensory neuropathy. This condition affects the peripheral nerves, including those that control sensation and movement in your legs. Even more surprising, many people experience symptoms while their blood levels are still in the normal range, suggesting individual sensitivity and cumulative effects play a role. The mechanism: at high levels, B6 becomes neurotoxic. It interferes with nerve signaling, disrupts myelin sheath integrity, the protective covering around nerves, and causes degeneration of sensory fibers. Have you ever felt a burning or tingling sensation in your feet or lower legs, especially at night, or occasional numbness or a dead leg feeling after sitting? These might not be circulation issues. They could be subclinical B6 toxicity. Vitamin B12, on the other hand, is less likely to cause direct toxicity, but there's a catch. Excessive doses in people without deficiency can mask other imbalances, including folate or iron problems. Some studies, including one from JAMA Network open in 2019, even linked high-dose B12 supplementation, especially in multivitamins or injections, to increase risk of hip fractures and, paradoxically, decreased mobility in older adults. Here's a simple framework to apply. Stick to the neurologically safe range. For most people, B6 supplementation should not exceed 50 milligrams/day. In fact, 10 to 25 milligrams is typically enough to support metabolism without risking toxicity. Only supplement B12 if you're deficient, common in vegans or those with poor absorption. The standard RDA is 2.4 milligrams/day, and even high-dose therapy, 500 to 1,000 milligrams, should be cycled under supervision. Prioritize testing. If you're taking a B complex, check your serum B6, B12, and methylmalonic acid, MMA, levels at least once per year. And remember, more isn't always better, especially when it comes to neuroactive nutrients. B vitamins are powerful tools for brain and nerve health, but when misused, they can do the opposite of what they're meant to. For anyone experiencing mysterious leg pain, weakness, or coordination issues, especially if you've been taking megadose vitamins, don't ignore the possibility of toxicity. The fix might not be a new treatment, but stopping what's silently causing the problem. Now, we'll zoom out and look at the neuromuscular triangle. D, magnesium and movement, and how this dynamic system determines whether your legs grow stronger or break down with time. By now, we've seen how single nutrients, when taken out of context, can backfire. But the human body doesn't work in isolation. It functions as a tightly coordinated network, and nowhere is that more apparent than in what I call the neuromuscular triangle, a dynamic relationship between vitamin D, magnesium, and physical movement. Each of these three elements influences and depends on the others. Let's start at the base: magnesium. It's the spark plug of the body. It activates enzymes, helps produce ATP, your cell's energy currency, and is essential for muscle contraction and relaxation. It's also the mineral that allows your body to activate vitamin D. Without it, even high doses of vitamin D remain inert. Now, let's look at vitamin D. Once activated, with magnesium's help, it begins to regulate calcium uptake, gene expression in muscle tissue, and, importantly, the health of fast-twitch muscle fibers, which are critical for balance, jumping, and quick movements that prevent falls. But here's where it gets fascinating. The expression of vitamin D receptors in muscle cells actually increases with movement. In other words, your body becomes more sensitive to vitamin D when you engage in regular, weight-bearing physical activity. Have you noticed how people who stop exercising often feel sluggish or stiff, even when their labs look fine? That's not just deconditioning, it's biochemical. Lack of movement reduces vitamin D signaling, weakens magnesium retention, and accelerates muscle atrophy. And this is where the triangle comes full circle. Vitamin D supports muscle regeneration and neuromuscular coordination. Magnesium fuels this process by activating enzymes and modulating muscle relaxation. Movement increases the demand for both, enhancing absorption, utilization, and receptor activity. Here's a simple protocol to integrate this triangle into your life. Morning sun plus movement. Expose your skin to 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight while walking or doing light exercise. This naturally boosts vitamin D synthesis and improves uptake when paired with movement. Take magnesium with dinner. Ideally 300 to 400 magnesium glycinate to support overnight muscle repair and nervous system balance. Use resistance training 2 to 3 times per week, not just for aesthetics, but to increase receptor sensitivity for vitamin D and signal the need for muscular growth and repair. And here's something motivational to keep in mind. Your muscles don't just move you, they speak to your brain. Every step, squat, or stretch sends signals that shape your nervous system, hormonal balance, and even your mood. So if you're experiencing leg fatigue, cramping, or a decline in lower body strength, don't just look at your supplement stack. Look at the interaction between nutrients and behavior. The way you move, nourish, and recover is the key to unlocking lifelong mobility. Before we dive into how strong legs protect your brain and vice versa, a quick reminder. If you're appreciating this science-driven approach to health, consider subscribing. We explore practical neuroscience, behavior change, and physical optimization every week, all grounded in the best available research. Most people think of the brain and body as separate systems, but in truth, they are co-regulating each other in real time. And perhaps nowhere is this more obvious than in the link between leg strength and cognitive function. In fact, a growing body of research shows that the condition of your lower body, your quads, glutes, hamstrings, and calves, can predict the future health of your brain more accurately than any other muscle group. Let's look at what the research shows. A landmark study from gerontology followed over 300 female twins for a decade. The twin with stronger legs at baseline consistently performed better on memory and executive function tests, even after controlling for baseline IQ, lifestyle, and genetics. That's a stunning finding, especially because both individuals shared the same DNA. Why is this happening? Strong legs aren't just for movement. They act as a metabolic engine. They help regulate blood sugar, support hormone balance, and most critically, stimulate the release of myokines, hormone-like molecules released by contracting muscles. One of these myokines, called BDNF, brain derivative neurotrophic factor, plays a major role in neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to adapt, learn, and regenerate. Have you ever noticed how after a walk or workout or even a short bout of stairs, your mind feels clearer? That's not a coincidence. Movement of the legs increases blood flow to the brain, enhances BDNF expression, and modulates dopamine and serotonin systems, all of which support better focus, mood, and memory. On the flip side, when leg strength declines, especially with age, several things begin to happen. Brain volume begins to shrink, particularly in the hippocampus, the center of learning and memory. Balance and gait coordination decline, which increases fall risk and cognitive load. Sedentary behavior increases, which worsens circulation and further reduces nutrient delivery to the brain. This creates a downward spiral, one that often starts subtly with muscle weakness or leg fatigue. But here's the good news. It's reversible. Studies from the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity show that even moderate lower body strength training twice per week can significantly improve cognitive function in people over 50. A simple tool you can start using today. Perform bodyweight squats, step-ups, or resistance band leg exercises 3 times a week. Focus on controlled, full range of motion to engage the entire neuromuscular system. Combine with deep nasal breathing or music to enhance emotional and cognitive stimulation. This isn't just about staying mobile, It's about staying mentally sharp, emotionally resilient, and biologically young. If you're struggling with leg cramps, fatigue, or weakness, understand that your nervous system may be asking for something deeper, for strength, movement, and biochemical support. And by answering that call, you're not just protecting your physical foundation, you're also future-proofing your brain. Now, we'll tie everything together from vitamins to muscles to mindset in a practical and empowering conclusion that helps you take action today. Let's step back and connect the dots. We began with a provocative insight. Some of the most widely used healthy vitamins: calcium, vitamin D, B6, B12, when taken incorrectly, can actually harm the very parts of the body they're supposed to protect. And for many people, the first signs of that damage show up in the legs: cramping, numbness, weakness, tightness, a creeping fatigue, or coordination issue that seems to come from nowhere. But as we've explored, those symptoms aren't random. They're the body's way of communicating imbalance, of asking you to look deeper, because your legs aren't just muscles and bones. They're sensors, messengers, gateways to your mobility, independence, and even your cognitive longevity. Here's what the research has shown us. Vitamin D is essential, but only when paired with magnesium. Without magnesium, D can't be activated, and the whole system stalls. This can lead to muscle fatigue and neuromuscular misfiring. Calcium supports bones, but taken in isolation, it can harden arteries, calcify soft tissues, and trigger leg cramps. It must be co-administered with K2 and magnesium to be properly utilized. Vitamin B6 and B12, while crucial for nerve health, can become neurotoxic in high doses. Sensory neuropathy in the legs, tingling, burning, numbness, is a classic sign of overdoing it. Yeah, your legs and your brain are in constant dialogue. Strong legs protect cognitive function. Movement increases BDNF, and leg training acts like a nootropic for your nervous system. The neuromuscular triangle and movement determines whether your muscles grow or break down. It's not just about taking vitamins. It's about integrating them with behavior. Supplements are tools, not shortcuts. Used wisely, they elevate function. Used carelessly, they create silent dysfunction that accumulates over years. So, where do you go from here? Start with one change. Check your supplement doses. Are you exceeding 50 milligrams of B6? Are you taking calcium without K2 or magnesium? Are you using vitamin D but forgetting the cofactors? Audit your movement. Are your legs getting at least 2 to 3 strength-based sessions a week? Even 15 minutes makes a difference. Tune into your symptoms. That nighttime leg cramp, the foot that keeps falling asleep, don't brush it off. Track it. It might be your nervous system whispering before it screams, because ultimately this is about agency. You have more influence over your health than you've been told, not through hacks or high doses, but through precision, consistency, and understanding how your biology actually works. And that's our mission here, to translate complex science into simple tools that help you move better, feel clearer, and live stronger. For decades to come, your challenge today: choose one of the 3 vitamins we discussed and optimize it, whether that means adjusting your dose, pairing it with a cofactor, or moving more. Take one clear action to support your nervous system and legs. And if this video helped clarify something for you, share it with someone who's still in the confusion phase. The more we understand our bodies, the better we can protect them. Drop a comment below with one supplement you're rethinking after watching this. And if you want more science-backed tools to improve your focus, energy, and physical resilience, make sure to like, subscribe, and join this growing community that's committed to brain-body optimization, one evidence-based step at a time. Your legs carry your body, but your knowledge and your actions carry your future. Stay strong, stay sharp. I'll see you in the next one.